So hello everybody, welcome to my YouTube channel Java Guru Ravi, and I Ravi Khan Sahu welcome you in this new video. So let's get started. Hello everybody, welcome back to my YouTube channel Java Guru Ravi, and today in this video we are going to discuss the use of try, catch and finally block. So in the last video we have discussed that whenever exception occurs, so we are having three prime objective of handling the exception. The first one was to prevent the abnormal termination of your program. The second one is to customize the message so that you can make the user understand what kind of problem occurred. And the third one is to provide the solution, means provide plan B, means what you want to do when some exception occurs, right? So in this case, in this video we will be talking about the use of try block, catch block and finally block. So actually there are 5 keywords which are used for exception handling. First one is try, second one is catch, third one is finally, fourth one is throw and fifth one is throws. So all these are 5 keywords, but in this video we will be talking about the 3 keywords, that is try, catch and finally. So all these 3 blocks are created in the exception handling. So basically we will be using the try block to create a block, similarly catch block again to create a block, and the finally keyword to again create a block. But the use of these 3 blocks are different. So let us understand their importance and their use. So first one is try block. So how you create a try block? You have to simply write try and then the body of the try. This is the syntax of creating your try block. Similarly, if you have to create a finally block, so similar to the try block, you will be writing the finally block. It means write the finally keyword, finally, and then the body of the finally block. Then the third one is catch block. So the syntax of creating the catch block is slightly different. So what is the catch block basically? Catch block is used to execute the code which you want to run when exception occurred, right? So it means here we have to write something like this. You will write the catch keyword, and similar to try and finally block, it will be also having its body, but here in the catch block you have to mention here the parameter. What is the parameter here is, the parameter is saying that which type of exception you want to handle. So let's say you are writing some type here. For example, in this catch block I have written number format exception and its reference variable. So what it means is that this catch block can handle only number format exception. So whatever type you are mentioning here, only that type of exception will be handled by this catch block, right? Suppose I am writing here number format exception, and if array index out of bounds exception is occurring, so this catch block will not be handling that, right? So here we have to write the type of exception, type some class type, and its reference variable here. So whenever any exception will be thrown, so that exception object will be captured or held in this particular reference variable, and then it will be executed. So this is what the catch block is. So we will understand this thing, but before that let us understand the importance of try and finally. So first, if you start with the try block, so why we create the try block? Try block is created to hold the statements which can result in some exception, right? If you feel that this particular statement may result in some exception, or some exception may be possible in this statement or certain set of statements, so you will be writing only those statements here. Please mind it, you have to write only those statements in the try block which are suspicious, in which exception may occur. Other code should not be written here. Sometimes in the interview you can be asked that why don't you write every code inside the try block? So the answer is, if you will write everything in the try block, so I told you, if suppose the exception occurs in the first line, so first of all the object will be thrown outside the try block. So it means that try block remaining code will never be executed. So you will be losing the data. You will be losing your code, right? So that's why only those statements you will write in the try block whose execution can create certain exception, right? So only those statements where exception is possible you will write in the try block. Now whenever you write a try block, it must be accompanied by either catch block or finally block. Means you cannot write try block alone. Try must be followed by some catch block or finally block or both. It means what are the different possible combinations? You can have a try block with one catch block. That is possible. That's it. You can have a try block with one finally block. That is also allowed. You can have a try block with multiple catch blocks. That is also possible. You can have a try block with multiple catch blocks followed by finally block. This is also possible, right? But the sequence is, first of all try will be there, then catch blocks will be there if any, then finally will be there. You cannot write finally before the catch. Try will be always first, then catch blocks if there are some, then finally block. But yes, there must be at least one catch block or finally block, right? You cannot have a try block without any catch block or finally block. So this is how you will be writing your try block. So try block only suspicious statements, catch block only that statement which you want to execute when the exception occurs. Catch block will be executed only when the exception of this type occurs. Let's say here you are writing some statement 1 S1, so S1 will be executed only when this type of exception occurs here. If the exception does not occur, this catch block will never be executed, right? So catch block will be executed only when the exception of that type occurs. So what you have to do, what you will be writing in the catch block, you will be writing the code that you want to execute when some problem occurs, right? It means this is your plan B. Let's say you are asking the user to enter the password, and if the password is incorrect, you will go to this catch block, and here you can ask you, okay, kindly re-enter the password. This can be the solution. But in the normal scenario, if user has entered the correct password, will you ask him to re-enter the password? No, you will not ask here, na? Because there is no exception. In the first go only he has entered the correct password. So catch block should contain only those statements which you want to execute only when the exception occurs, right? So in the normal scenario, the catch block will not be executed. So normal statements should not be written in the catch block because it will be executed only when the exception is occurring, right? Similarly, try block, you don't write normal statements here. You write only those statements where the problem is possible. So problem is possible, solution is here, right? Then finally block. Finally block is used to write some code which is mandatory to be executed. You feel that, okay, whatever be the scenario, whatever be the situation, whether the exception occur, whether the exception does not occur, whether the exception is handled, whether the exception is not handled, in every circumstances, if you want to use you want to execute some code, so that must be written in the finally block, because finally block will be executed in every scenario. Finally block is executed in all possible cases. It will be always executed. So we need to write those statements which are mandatory to be executed. Generally we write here the code to update the database, the code to close the connection, the code to close the files, which are mandatory tasks, which are very important to be executed. right? So finally block, whatever you are writing will be executed. But the important point, let's say there is some code written in the finally block or catch block. So again in that block also the exception is possible. If you are writing some code in the catch block, so it doesn't mean no exception will occur further in the catch block or finally block. That is also possible here, right? That's why there is another question related to the finally block. Sometimes interviewer can ask you, why don't you write every code inside the finally block, write everything inside the finally block, because you are saying that finally block is always executed. So the answer remains the same. You are writing every code inside the finally block, and suppose some exception occurred in the finally block, all code will be lost. So finally block will be executed only when there is no exception inside the finally block, right? If in the finally block you will be getting some exception, so it is not guaranteed to execute the code below over there, right? So it means try block again for writing some suspicious code, catch block to handle that suspicious code's result, and the third one is finally block, some mandatory task to be completed, right? So let us understand the implementation of try, catch and finally here in this program. So I have written this particular class in which we are trying to read two command line integer inputs. So I am reading two command line inputs from the console. So that will be stored in array AR. So AR0 and AR1, these are the two string type of values we will be having, because when you run this code, so you will pass, let's say, some inputs 10 and 5. So 10 will become a string, it will become AR0, and it will go into AR1. So I am just converting it back into an integer type using the integer.parseInt. So I will be converting integer.parseInt AR0, it will be stored in the variable A, and then integer.parseInt AR1, and it will be stored in B. So if you talk about this particular program, so these two lines are having some possibility of exception. In the last video we have discussed similar type of code. So in these two lines there are two exceptions possible. First one is array index out of bounds. If suppose user is not passing two inputs, if the user will not pass two command line inputs, so you will get the array index out of bounds exception either in the first line or in the second line. Second exception which is possible here is number format exception. Number format exception will occur. Let's say I am passing here some value 5.2. So 5.2 is a double type of value. It will be passed here in ARR1, and in the ARR1 I am trying to convert into the int. So 5.2 cannot be converted into int. It will give you number format exception. So these two lines are having possibilities of two exceptions. First line is also having the chances of exception, array index out of bounds exception as well as number format exception. Second line is also having the possibility of number format exception as well as array index out of bounds exception. So what we can do here is we can write these two codes in the try block, right? We have to handle this, but these two exceptions that we have discussed here are unchecked exception. So compiler is not forcing you to handle these. Last video we have discussed unchecked exceptions and checked exceptions. So here these two codes, these two statements may result in two exceptions. So we will try to handle this. So what we will be doing here is we will be trying to create a try block here. So these two lines I am feeling are having the same type of problem, so we can keep it in the single try block, right? So I have surrounded these two statements by this try block. Now as soon as you have written the try block, it becomes mandatory for you to write either the catch blocks or finally block, otherwise it will not be compiled. So as I told you, finally block will not handle the exception. If you will write here the finally block, I can write here the finally block followed by this catch block, try block. So if you write here, let's say finally block, I'll write here system.out.println thank you. So it is guaranteed that it will print the thank you. Means what will happen? Suppose when I run this program, I will pass the input 20 and XYZ. I pressed enter. So 20 and XYZ means first input will go to the AR0. It will convert into the integer. No problem. 20 is an integer. This line will be compiling successfully, executing successfully. Then second line, second input is XYZ. XYZ will be stored in ARR1. Means array index out of bounds exception is not possible. But it will try to convert XYZ into int. So it is not possible. XYZ is not compatible with int. So it will give you number format exception. So in this line, number format exception will be thrown. So as soon as the exception will be thrown, what I told you, you will be thrown outside the block. As soon as the exception is generated, the control will be transferred or the exception will be thrown outside the block where the exception occurred. So suppose you are writing this thank you here. Let's say you have written this thank you here. You are not writing this and you are writing thank you here in this try block, and then you are writing finally here. So do you think that this will be executed? Because you are writing this thank you inside the try block, so even if you are providing the exception handler, this code will never be executed. Because exception occurred here and you are thrown outside, here it will go to the finally block, but it will not print this statement. Right? That's why I said in the try block, don't write additional statements. Write only those statements where the exception is possible. Right? So it is not worth writing here. So what I am going to do here is, I will just put these two statements inside the try block. Let's say I am writing here system.out.println input is okay. So this line will be printed only when this and this statement will not result in any exception. Right? If this line or this line gives any exception, this line will never be executed. So I can write here something like this, okay, input is okay. Because this line will be executed only when this line is executed successfully. But I cannot write here input is not completed. Right? So I have written this kind of a statement in the try block. Now to accompany this try block, I will write either the catch block or the finally block or only catch block or both. Right? So what I am going to discuss here is, let's say I am writing finally block here. So I am writing here the finally block. The finally block is not going to handle the exception. It is not handling the exception. It is just guaranteeing that this statement will be executed. Right? So let's say I am writing here system.out.println thank you. So this thank you will be always printed. This thank you will be printed. Now here let's say the exception occurred. It will not print input is okay, but it will throw the exception object here. That exception object will be searching for the appropriate catch block. Whenever the exception object is thrown, it will look for the catch block to be handled. Right? It will look for the appropriate catch block to be handled over there. But it will not execute any other statement, only it will execute the finally. So in this case, what is going to happen? Exception is thrown, it will come outside the try block, it will never execute this statement because still this exception is not handled. Until and unless exception is handled, it will not execute any statement, not even a single statement except finally. So it will go outside this block, it will search for the catch block. Is it a catch block? No, but it is a finally block. So it will execute this statement. It will print thank you, but this exception is still not handled. So it will go to its caller. Who is the caller of the main function? JVM. So it will go to the JVM, and as soon as the exception reaches to JVM, program terminates with some stack trace message. It will give you the same message, java.lang.number format exception input xyz cannot be converted to int. Fine, but yes, it has printed thank you. This is guaranteed. But if you do not write finally here and you write some other catch block, so it will never print thank you. It will never print thank you. Now suppose you have written some try and you have written some catch block which is not of number format. For example, I have now written here, I am just removing this try, and then I am writing here a catch block now. Catch, let's say I have written arithmetic exception. So just now see here, I have written this try block, and to accompany this I have written a catch block. Now here if number format exception is thrown, so it will keep on searching for the catch block. So it will find a catch block, but is it suitable for handling the number format exception? It is written here arithmetic exception. It's like that, it is similar to the problem you are facing in your real life health issues. Let's say you are having some dental problem. So you'll go to the doctor, but do you think that a cardiologist can handle your dental problem? You need to find out a doctor. Catch is a doctor, you can say. And to find the suitable doctor, you have to look its specialization. Its specialization is handling the arithmetic exception. It is not specialized in handling this number format exception, right? So if you are having some dental problem, you will look for a dentist. If you have some problem related to your bones, you will go to the orthopedic. You will not go to the cardiologist or neurologist, right? The same thing will happen here. Here you got a number format exception, so it will search for a catch block with some number format or its parent type, right? So a catch block of same type or its parent type is required, but arithmetic exception is not the catch block of the same type or parent type. So this catch block will say, sorry, I cannot handle you. It will say, okay, I will search for the next catch block. Like later in this chain, there is no catch block, so it will not go to any other catch block. Then it will find this statement. Will it execute this statement? It will not execute this statement because still the exception is not handled. So it will not execute this statement and it will go to the JVM now. But if I write it inside the finally block, here comes the role of finally block. If I will write here in the finally block, then it will execute it. Is it okay? Fine. So this is the importance of finally block. It will be executed even if your exception is not handled. This is the correct statement. If exception is handled, then normal statement will also execute. There is no need of finally block. Finally block comes into the picture when exception is not handled, right? Still it will execute this statement. This is the use of finally block. When you want to execute some statement even when the exception is unhandled, then also finally block will execute. If exception is handled, then there is no need of finally block. I mean to say, let's say I am writing here the exception, that is number format exception. Let's say now I am writing number format exception. So now this exception will be caught here. Catch block will execute here. It will write here some plan B. It is handled. Now the flow of program will become normal. Now it will go to this statement. Even if you are not writing the finally block, still this exception will be, this statement will be executed. So there is no need of writing the finally block if exception is handled. Finally block is important when exception is unhandled, right? Now do you think that here we need a finally block? Just think about, do you need a finally block here for this particular piece of code? When I am writing this try block, then catch block with number format exception and this system.out.println. Is there any possibility that there is some exception which is still unhandled? Yes, array index out of bounds exception is unhandled here. There is a try block. In the try block here number format exception as well as array index out of bounds exception is possible. But which exception you are handling? Number format. Let's suppose you are passing only one input here. Only 20. So it will come here. This line will be executed properly. But in this line you will get array index out of bounds exception. It will be thrown here. It will search for the array index out of bounds catch block, but there is no catch block corresponding to array index out of bounds. It will say I am unhandled. I will not execute this code because it is not written in the finally block. Right? So here still finally block is important because I feel that this statement must be executed. Right? So now I am writing try block with catch block number format exception, then finally block. Fine. But suppose if I write a catch block for array index out of bounds exception also, then there is no use of finally block because all possible exceptions we are going to handle here. Right? So without bothering about this, you should be simply saying that if this statement is mandatory to be executed, write it in the finally block. Right? Do not put a lot of efforts in identifying whether all the exceptions are handled or not. If you feel this statement is mandatory, write it in the finally block. That's it. Okay? So now coming back to this, I am writing the try block and catch blocks. So regarding this catch block, you can write multiple catch blocks with a try, right? So with a single try you can write multiple catch blocks also. As I have discussed here that you can have two catch blocks, one for number format exception, one for array index out of bounds exception. Similarly, you can have n number of catch blocks with a single try. So there is a rule. There is a rule regarding the catch blocks to be written. Right? You can write, generally the catch blocks can be written in any order, but if you are writing a catch block of child type as well as a catch block for parent type, so child type catch block must be written above the parent type exception catch block. Right? Like there are certain exceptions which are having the child parent relationship. So first exception pair is IO exception and file not found exception. So file not found exception is a child of IO exception. So let's say I have to write two catch blocks, one for file not found exception and one for IO exception. So which exception should be written on top? I'll be writing one catch block for IO exception, right? Something like this. Now if I have to write the catch block for file not found exception, so where you can write? Can you write it below this? No, you cannot write. If you will be writing some catch block of file not found exception, if you will write here the catch block for file not found exception here, so it will give you a compilation error. What is the compilation here? Compilation error. It will say even if the, just try to understand, even if the file not found exception is thrown from this try block, so it will look for the catch block. It will ask, are you going to handle the file not found exception? It will say, yes, I am the parent of file not found exception. I can handle that. Because child type can be taken care by the parent type. You have already stated this thing that parent reference can hold the child object. Here child object is thrown. Here the reference is of parent type. So it will say, okay, I can take care of yourself. So it will handle the file not found exception also. So that's why if you will write here, so it will say, it will give you a compilation error. File not found exception is already handled. It will give you this kind of compilation error that file not found exception is already handled, because here on the top you are writing the parent type of catch block. So parent type of catch block must be always written below the child type. Is it clear? So here it is not allowed, it will not allow you to compile this. It will say you can write this catch block only above this, because this is allowed. You can write catch of file not found exception, something like this is allowed. Means child type of catch block must be written before the parent type on the high above side, right? It cannot be written below that. Let's say I said I want to write a catch block of number format exception. So where you can write? Can you write here? Yes, you can write it here. Why? Because number format exception is not having any relationship with this one or this one. So number format exception can be written here also. It can be written here also. It can be written here also. No condition of child and parent. You have to take care of only the child-parent relationship, right? Similarly, let us take an example here to understand this concept. Suppose I said that this is my class A, exception class, this is my class B, this is my class C, and this is my class D. So this is your exception class hierarchy. Now I am saying in which order the catch blocks can be written. A is the parent, B is its child, C and D are the children of B. So in which order catch blocks can be written? I am saying is we can write like this: B, D, C, B, A. Is it allowed? So I'll see D is on the top, D is the child, okay. Right, then I am saying C is not having any relationship with the child parent relationship, so it is okay. You can write either CD or you can write DC also. Then you are writing B. So B is the parent. So B can be written only after CD. Right? D can be written only after C and D. And A is the parent of all, so A must be written at the end. Right? In the same way, suppose you are having this kind of relationship. So can we write something like this? B, D, C, A. So if you see here B is written on the top. Then you are writing D. D can also be written because there is no child-parent relationship. Then I am writing C type. C is the child. C is the child, but parent is already written on the top. The child cannot be written, means C type of catch block cannot be written after the B type. So this is not allowed. Right? So this is how you are going to take care of the catch blocks. Means child type exception catch block should be written before the parent type of exception. This is very simple and straightforward concept. Reason is, if you are writing parent type on the top, so all the child type will be handled by the parent type, so child type catch block will never get a chance to execute. Right? So that is a compilation error. Now one more thing is there is a concept of generalized catch block. Can you write some catch block which can handle all types of exception? So yes, you can write certain catch blocks which are generalized catch blocks. So the first one is, you can write a catch block of exception type. Exception, let's say you are writing this kind of catch block. So this kind of catch block can handle all type of exception, because every exception is a subclass of exception. So if you are writing this kind of catch block, so it can handle all kinds of exception, whether it be array arithmetic exception, whether it be array index out of bound, whether it be IO exception, whether it be SQL exception, whether it be number format exception. All exceptions can be handled by this catch block. So this is called as catch block, generalized catch block. Similarly, you can write a catch block of throwable type also. Throwable is the parent of exception. So can you write this catch block above this? No, because I told you child type should be written before the parent type. So this is okay. Exception is the child of throwable. The exception should be written over the throwable. But if you try to write throwable before the exception, this is an error. Because throwable is the parent of exception, it cannot be written before the child type of catch block. So these are the catch blocks which are called as generalized catch block. If you are unable to find out what kind of exceptions are possible in this piece of code, so you can write a generalized catch block, and all type of exceptions can be handled over there. One more concept is there which is called as multi-catch. So what is multi-catch? Multi-catch is saying that, okay, if you are writing a catch block, so what is catch block? Catch block is the solution of some exception. How you want to handle some exception. So it might be possible that for two or more than two exceptions you want to write the same solution. For example, in this case we have two statements reading two inputs. There are two problems possible. One is number format exception, second one is array index out of bounds exception. So what kind of solution you want to write? I'll talk about the plan B now. Let's say some exception occurred in the first line or second line. So what you want to do? You will write a catch block because you are interested in handling the exception. You will write a catch block here. Forget about what you are writing in the catch block, but what you want to do now here? Suppose exception occurred. What you will do now? You understood the exception occurred, catch block will execute. When catch block will be execute? If there is a problem in either the first input or in the second input, then only the catch block should be executed. Like in ATM, you went in the ATM, you entered some pin is wrong, incorrect pin. So it gives you the another option to re-enter the pin. So that is the plan B. So in the catch block, I will be writing plan B. Okay, exception occurred, no issues. I will give you another chance. Let us give you another chance. So in the catch block, what I will try to write here is, let us take the input once again. I will ask you, okay, you have entered some incorrect values, so kindly re-enter the two integers. So I am writing in the catch block, okay, I will say system.out.println incorrect, or you can say incorrect input. I will say kindly re-enter to, in bold and capital I will write, in kindly re-enter to integers, something like this. So I have achieved the second objective. First objective, as soon as you have written a catch block, even if you are writing the blank catch block, exception is handled and remaining code will execute properly. First objective is handled. Second objective, I have informed the user in the formal language, in a simplified language, okay, what is the problem? I have simply said, okay, dear, you have entered some incorrect input, just re-enter the input. This is plan B I am providing. So here in the catch block, we are going to give you two options. One is prevented the abnormal termination. Second one is given the proper input. Third thing we can do is give the second chance, plan B, okay, re-enter the input. So I will ask you, okay, re-enter the input. So I will ask the user, okay, enter the inputs again. So for that I will read now runtime input, scanner object is required. So I can create here scanner object, static scanner So I have created a scanner object. So I am asking, dear, re-enter the two integers. So user will enter. I will say, okay, first input is a sc dot next int. So I will read the input. Similarly, b is equal to sc dot next int, second input. So it means I am giving the user the flexibility to enter the values even after the mistake in the first chance. Right? Even if user has not given the two command line inputs, exception will occur. I will gracefully handle the situation and I'll ask the user to enter the values once again. Right? So this is exception handling. But do you want to execute the same code for both the statements? I am saying yes. If user is not entering any input, still array index out of bounds should be handled here. I'll ask to re-enter. If the user is entering some non-integer value, I'll again catch the exception and I'll say okay, handle and re-enter the value. So it means this solution should be applied to both type of exception, array index out of bounds as well as number format exception. But a catch block can be of one type only. So here we have the concept of multi-catch. Multi-catch in you can say in medical science is like ENT specialist. ENT specialist is a doctor which can handle 3 different type of problems: ear, nose and throat. So same thing here, I am writing a catch block where I am saying okay, we can have multiple type of exceptions to be handled here. It is not a generalized catch block. Generalized says that all type of exception. Multi-catch is saying only specified multiple type. For example, here I want to handle array index out of bounds as well as number format. So I will mention both of them using the OR operator. Something like this. How I will write? Number format exception or something like this, or first exception or second exception or third exception or fourth exception. As many as you want you can list here. This is multi-catch. So I am writing here array index out of bounds. But here there will be only one reference variable. You will not write 2 reference variable. That, let me remove this so that it can be more clear. So here the point is that you will not write like this number format exception n or array index out of bounds exception a. There will be only single reference variable. These questions are asked in the Oracle certification exam. So there are 2 important points related to the multi-catch. First one is there is a single reference variable and that reference variable cannot reassign any value. Means it is final in nature. Right? So I will write here array index out of bounds exception, let's say EX. So this EX will be final. It cannot be reassigned any value. In the normal catch block, whatever reference variable you are writing is non-final. That can be reassigned the value in the catch block. But in case of multi-catch, this is final. This is the first important point about the multi-catch. Second important point about the multi-catch is that you can mention n number of exceptions here, but those exception classes or those exception types must not be related with child-parent relationship. Right? What I mean to say is you cannot write here number for IO exception or file not found exception, because file not found exception and IO exceptions are having superclass subclass relationship. You cannot write here array index out of bounds exception or index out of bounds exception. They are having child-parent relationship. Right? So the exception classes which are mentioned in the multi-catch must not be having the child-parent relationship. And reason is very clear. If you are already writing the parent type, what is the need of writing the child type? That's why the restriction is there. So 2 important points about the multi-catch. First one is the reference variable is single and that is final. It cannot be reassigned the value. Second important point is the different exceptions that you are listing in the multi-catch must not have the child-parent relationship. Right? So this is all about the try, catch and finally block. That's all for today. Thank you.
So I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you find this video useful, so please like, subscribe and share with all of your friends so that they can also get benefited. Ravikant Sahu signing off. Thank you.